Hey guys, the Hell Let Loose Update 7 is finally out, and this is probably one of the most highly expected updates to this game so far. New animations, new weapon sound effects, a new map, changes to how garrisons work, HUD changes, tank changes. It's just insane how many things have been tweaked or changed in this update. So let's get right to it. I'm gonna start talking about my first impressions with the game. I played for maybe 4 hours so far. I played Karen 10 like 3 times. Played a couple of other maps as well, but mostly Karen 10. So, okay, thoughts. New sounds. Each weapon sounds so much beefier and punchier than before. It is just insane. Just listen to this.
I dropped one in the field this way.
Firefights sound incredibly intense now. It's kind of harder to tell where the shots are coming from, but that's probably something that you will learn over time. But just like the machine gun sounds are insane. The shots when you have so many people running around and shooting, it just feels much more immersive and so much better than before. The difference is really night and day. My friend Chuck Dix made a video comparison on the weapon sounds. I will include a link in the video description, so definitely check it out. Together with sound effect changes come recoil changes to basically every weapon, and it seems like the MP40 and the Thompson are easier to control and have a lower spread now, but I have to really take a deep look at every weapon, which of course I haven't been able to do yet. But perhaps more important is the fact that there are a ton of new loadouts available. There's new loadouts for the rifleman, for the assault, for the anti-tank. I won't get into detail on everything, but basically you get access to better weapons like the MP40, like the carbine, like the BAR, and this, I'm not sure what the balance issues are going to be if you have too many people running around with the carbine and the BAR, which are really good weapons as the allied, and maybe, I don't know, maybe that's too much. I like the fact that you have bolt action weapons in a World War II game and not every weapon is semi-auto or full auto. That kind of changes with this update and I'm not too into that, but we'll have to see. I think the new MP40 is much better than the old one, at least as far as I've tested it. So in terms of balance, I think we'll have to see how this affects the game. Overall, the weapon changes are amazing and feel really good, so that's a real positive thing. It feels like a much better game now. Speaking of that, let's talk about the animations. The animations make the game feel much faster and much snappier than before. You no longer have to wait to vault over objects, and in general you can vault over more stuff more easily, faster than before, which is really good. There are some minor hiccups going on. There's some clipping over the windows when you try and vault over them. Some of the animations still look kind of janky, so there is still room for improvement, but what they've done so far is really promising, and you have to remember this is an early access game. What they're doing so far and the amount of stuff they've worked on this update, the amount of changes, everything is pretty good, but obviously there is still room for improvement. It's basically the finer details that need to be refined, so you don't see people like hovering over obstacles instead of heading directly to the ground, if that makes sense. There seems to be, like, when you vault over something, there seems to be a delay where the soldier doesn't immediately drop back to the ground, and it seems kind of weird, but that's going to be improved upon for sure in the next couple of updates. Now let's talk about what everyone wants to know about, the new map, Karen 10. It is an incredible map. I really enjoy playing it, what I have so far. There is one major issue, which is the frame rate. It is a big problem. I'm having, 10, 15 frames per second in the middle of the town, which is obviously, it's borderline unplayable for me. It's really hard to aim. It's a big problem. But they have been working on a hotfix. They've just announced that they are working on a fix. Ideally, they want to get it before the weekend comes in, so people get to, experience the map in its full capacity. But right now, the town layout is really interesting. There are distinct sections to it, which makes it really easy to remember the layout. There are some outskirts areas where there are like farmlands and stuff like that, which mix it up. As you go across the map changes, and it's not just one big city, which was what it seems like when you look at the map. It's really different. There's a church in the middle. There's a lot of different variations over this like general city feel. And one thing that surprised me is that there are not that many alleys that you can go through. Some of the streets are really long and you can't really flank once you're in them. So you have to execute flanks much deeper than I expected and through much longer routes. I think that's overall good, because otherwise it could get really bogged down in so much alleys, and if you're gonna have to check for garrisons or outposts, it could be really annoying to have to go into every single alley across the map. So overall, I think it's a good balance. I do wish more buildings were, you could go inside more buildings. Right now, there are very few of them that I've seen that you can walk inside. The new buildings look incredible and are really well done, by the way. So yeah, that again is to keep the fight interesting, and so you're not getting sniped from windows all the time. But I think they could use just a bit more. And speaking of garrisons and outposts, there has been a major change to the way they work. You can no longer place garrisons in enemy territory or in neutral territory. You can only use your outpost, and the outpost delay has been reduced from 5 minutes to 2 minutes. So the squad leader can place outpost every 2 minutes now. That has a major impact in the way that the game is played. You no longer have the option of just laying as many garrisons as you can, as fast as you can on the attack, and just respawning your entire team and attacking. You can no longer leapfrog the enemy from one point to the next by having someone, already on the other point, ready to drop a garrison as soon as you cap the sector, so the entire team respawns and takes the next point real fast. You can no longer do that, which is really positive. I think that's a smart change. It's a really good change for the meta, but I am concerned about how this affects the offensive versus defensive capabilities of the teams, because as a defense team, you can have garrisons and outposts. Garrisons, by the way, can now be placed at 100 meters apart and not 150, so you can have more density of garrisons and outposts. So as a defensive team, you have much more options than the offensive team. The offensive team has to rely on their own outpost. And I think this has a significant impact in where the strong points are located on the map. Because if you have the strong point next to the sector change, then you can place a garrison as offensive team. You can place a garrison real close by and, not suffer so much from this change. If the strong point is on the other side of the sector, then that is a significant change. You can no longer spawn your entire team close to the sector and take it to the strong point, So yeah, it's a major change. Overall, I think it's really good, but I am concerned about the balance in that scenario. Also, another change is that garrisons can no longer be destroyed by just walking up to them. You have to destroy them with an explosive or by pressing F and holding it for 5 seconds when you're near them. That is another big change. It's not so huge because you can still rocket them or grenade them or hit them with artillery and stuff like that. So yeah, that's a change that I think it's not a huge change compared to the other one, to the fact that you can't place them on neutral or enemy territory. The other major change is that you can no longer destroy garrisons in locked enemy territory. So the recon can no longer go around destroying every single garrison on the next point you have to capture. So I think that's overall, again, a positive change. It's kind of annoying to have to babysit the defensive line when it's so much further back from the action. I think that's a good change. And lastly, there's a new commander ability called Airhead, which you can use as a commander to drop a spawnable location in enemy territory. So you can no longer put garrisons, but you have a way to spawn the team in enemy lines, which is controlled now by the commander. It's a good compromise, I think. I've already used it. I've already had a commander use it actually, and it works as you'd expect. There is a spawn created. You spawn there and then you can place your outpost and carry on attacking and stuff like that. It will last for 2 minutes. So yeah, overall, I made a post like long ago talking about the changes that they needed to make the garrison meta different and more representative of an actual front line. These changes, I think, do that, but again, I'm concerned about if it's not too overpowering for the defense. And last of all, some minor changes to the HUD and the way things are highlighted. You can now press the map, and if you mouse over a squad leader, you will see his entire squad highlighted on the map, which I think is just super smart and a really good change. The change I'm not too fond of is there's this new blood red recon indicators. When the recon plane goes by, you see the enemy troops are no longer static red points. They are this blood red pulsating lights, which I think don't look really good. They are better in terms of not being this binary location, like precise. It's more analog because it's blurrier, and I think that's okay. But I'm just not a huge fan of the color. It looks awful to me. You can also see the status of your squad members. If they're white, they are alive. If they're gray, they are dead. And if they're red, they are in need of healing. So I think overall, positive changes in this update. I think it's a really solid update and really interesting feeling to the guns, to the animations. It just feels like a more polished and better game overall. Not a huge fan of the blood red icons, and some of the weapon changes and garrison changes are a concern in terms of balance, but hey, this is an early access game, so that's kind of part of it, you know, trying things out and seeing what works and what doesn't, you know, it will get removed. And they are listening to community feedback. They've already started working on a fix for the frame rate issue, as I mentioned. I think the developers are really smart. They are aware of what a good game they have. They want to keep improving it, and this is a major update that is super good for the game. Okay guys, that will be all for now. I just can't wait to hop in. I will be doing a live stream soon as I'm done with this video, I hope. So, alright, if you enjoyed this video, check out the other videos I have on HLL and other games. I do a lot of guides, which might help you out if you're a new player. And if you enjoy those videos as well, maybe consider subscribing to the channel. Okay guys, thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.